What we'll look at today is first we'll look at the mobility trends in the workplace in 2010. We'll look at the growing interest trends in SSL remote access VPNs by firms with distributed workforces. And we'll look at the reasons why many multinational firms are choosing managed SSL for remote access. What we call the information workforce, or the iWorker community, is a case in point. So this group includes your occasional telecommuters, your regular telecommuters, your permanent home-based workers, and the workforce persona group that we call the mobile professionals. These are people who are working mostly away from your corporate facilities. This is a lot of off-site workers for your IT organization to support. So looking at the most mobile portion of the information worker community, the mobile professional, these people really need to be reachable and they need to be productive regardless of where they are. So why do companies need to support mobile and remote work? Because it pays off. It's not just about attracting and retaining high-value, tech-savvy younger workers and older workers you don't want to retire. It's really because it pays off in terms of workforce productivity. So looking at the information worker cohort in your organization, 1 in 3 on average is telecommuting at least occasionally. Whether and how often they do so really depends on their role in your organization. Those who are home-based work an average of 2 hours more per week than office-based information workers. That's actually, in my view, a pretty conservative estimate. My consulting work with multinational firms suggests that it's often an hour or more a day on average that they're working more than their office-based cohorts. So if we're calculating just 2 hours, a conservative estimate of 2 hours additional work per week for an information worker, that's a 5% increase in overall productivity. If you were to calculate that against a $1 billion payroll, that would translate into up to $50 million efficiency gain. So think what you could do with that $50 million. Even if it was $30 million or $40 million, that's way more than enough to provide global, secure remote access VPN, laptop hardware, etc. for many thousands of users. So it's always a challenge to balance security concerns against the need to provide remote and mobile users with the right level of IT support to help them do their jobs. Security is always top of the list of IT's challenges and priorities for managing mobile and remote access to the company network and remote access to corporate databases and so on. In one of our surveys, for 61% of the IT respondents, they told us that one of their top 2 biggest issues is security, and 45% said that one of their top 2 issues is end-user usability and productivity, hence the need to balance these security concerns against giving the right level of support to your remote access users. We're seeing a growing number of MNCs, actually, who are interested in moving away from trying to manage all of those endpoint devices in-house. So they want to accommodate that bring your own, or more of the bring your own. Many of them are also using third parties to help them to manage this environment as well. So, and if they, like you, are, doing this, you're doing what I'm saying is like putting alligators in the moat around your corporate castle firewalls. But the primary methods to authenticate users are still predominantly just passwords, and simple passwords are like 44% of the sole authentication method that a lot of companies are using. And I'm suggesting that probably MNCs that have widely distributed global operations need to be doing something more than that.
Well, thank you, Branley, and good afternoon to our participants. So let's start with an overview of the key challenges that we see from an enterprise perspective when deploying global remote access VPNs. First, it's important to be able to deliver a reliable solution with consistent performance that remote access users can effectively utilize from anywhere in the world. This creates the necessity for a highly available solution that also provides for high performance to ensure that users have access to mission-critical enterprise applications and resources no matter where they're located. Second, it's key from an IT perspective to be able to deliver a remote access solution to the enterprise while maintaining a very strong network security posture. Such requirements may also include the ability to limit access to enterprise resources for designated users that are assigned to specific remote access groups. This concept's really important when you start thinking about using remote access solutions and extending them to extranet partners and other third parties. Next, we find that enterprises are increasingly challenged with having to support more users with more functionality, with better performance expectations than ever before, but with increasing budget constraints. These budget constraints encompass everything from the upfront CapEx requirements to the ongoing support costs to provide and support a global remote access enterprise VPN solution. In addition, one may also have to budget for additional capacity planning requirements to support disaster recovery and business continuity requirements. So make sure you don't forget about those as you're thinking about the various options that are available to you. Currently, we see three typical service deployment models for enterprise remote access VPNs. The first model is really an in-house model using dedicated remote access infrastructure, and it's managed by the IT department of that enterprise. The second model is really a premise-based SSL VPN solution managed by a third party, a managed service provider. And typically you're using dedicated infrastructure located at the customer's location, their data centers, their headquarters, and some of their other key corporate locations. And then finally, the third option is really a cloud-based offering from a MSP that leverages remote access VPN infrastructure provided by the MSP that exists within the cloud of the service provider. Enterprises can choose from one or a combination of these service delivery models to meet their remote access needs, where the best solution depends on the specific requirements, budget constraints, and in-house staffing expertise. Enterprises are rapidly adopting cloud-based remote access services because of the fact that there's no upfront CapEx required, and they have ongoing lower OpEx costs as well. In this example, we have a remote user in Hong Kong that enters a URL into their web browser to initiate their SSL remote access connection. Intelligent load balancers around the edge of the cloud redirect these users to the closest SSL gateway for them to complete their connection. And it's this intelligence, that's really key to really optimizing the latency that user is going to experience with their remote access session. Once connected to the SSL gateway, the traffic's routed on a MPLS network to enterprise resources located either in the region or anywhere else within the world for that matter. So what's important when considering an MSP partner for remote access VPNs? First, make sure they can provide 24/7 global support with multiple follow-the-sun operation centers. Next, see if the MSP will offer guaranteed uptime with their services associated with high availability, and will back that up with really strong SLAs. Then insist and validate that the security features offered by your managed service provider partner associated with the SSL remote access offerings will support your security requirements, such as security event information correlation, log retention, as well as meet your internal compliance requirements. Finally, ask if the MSP, if you can try before you buy, and whether or not they truly offer zero upfront costs. So in summary, we find that more companies are deploying SSL-based VPNs to meet their remote access requirements, and 66% of these companies are either using or considering service offerings from a managed service provider. One should really consider cloud-based SSL remote access offerings to eliminate the upfront CapEx, realize improved reliability and global performance, and also enhance scalability for future growth and the flexibility to support burstable usage options, and including support for disaster recovery and business continuity requirements as well.